You're sitting there with this great tool that you're treating as a toy. You could help so many people, but first, let us help you. Welcome to Develop by Faith.
So what, Odell, let's talk about this, right? Because this is a real big concern when you have these great industrial kitchens that are just laying dormant, and it's almost like, to your point is how do we really utilize these resources? And y'all, look, I've learned a lot from this man here when he starts talking about past things that may have happened, whether he experienced directly or his past friends experienced it. And we always see the same thing, right? The same issue is, utility bleeds out, right? Utilities go up, insurance premiums hike. And, when the stove is not working or the stove's not on, you're losing money, right? Then on top of it, it's actual income that you're missing out on, and you got this grade A kitchen that's there, that's there. And could you talk about like some of the other things that you guys as pastors kind of deal with, like real life scenarios of this?
Well, I think every pastor of a major church with a commercial kitchen or commercial grade kitchen, because the kitchen's there, you have to have certain kind of inspections and stuff to make it commercial grade.
Well, can you dive on that a little bit? Like what is that? What is that exactly like?
Well, first the purpose of the kitchen. We understand funerals and repasts. Everybody know at the repast what we're gonna have. We're gonna have sweet tea, macaroni and cheese, yam, fried chicken, and one roll. We understand that, and such a person gonna ask for more than one piece of chicken. So we understand that. That's part of church, and we understand that, and it's part of socialization, and it's so important after the funeral when the family starts trying to heal or some sense of normality. But more importantly, the kitchen is a tool, not a toy. It's a tool, Tool, not a toy, Toy. And in some churches, they utilize it as a toy, meaning that people in the kitchen doing things they're not supposed to be doing, borrowing things out of the kitchen they're not supposed to be borrowing, utilizing the kitchen's open. It's like, why is the kitchen open? Well, such a person has a family reunion, or such a person is doing catering out of the kitchen. So first we have to do is formalize the process, saying, okay, if we're going to utilize the kitchen in a certain way, let's formalize it and make it open to everyone, and also start looking at revenue and expenses associated with the kitchen, especially when you start ordering food. I had one situation where the food truck would show up 2 and 3 days a week, and you're like, why is the truck showing up all the time? And then you start looking at it, and a lot of stuff that's being ordered by sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so, that wasn't always for church business. Sometimes it was for their personal business. Sometimes the supplies, the cutlery, all those things that come in and utilize makes a big difference. And when you go in there and say a ghost kitchen or commercial kitchen, it changes everything. Now all of a sudden, instead of it being an asset that bleeds out revenue, now it's an asset that collects revenue and can offset some of the costs. Because when you start putting the light on the situation, things change. Now sister so-and-so, because before, whoever had the key to the kitchen ran the kitchen. And the pastor, he or she, they don't even know what's going on. Or if they know, it's easier to look the other way.
I remember walking one of these grade A state-of-the-art kitchens, and because, to your point, the pastor was so hands-off with it, it was very, it wasn't up to cleanliness. The cleanliness wasn't really there. And that came from, hey, we like sister so-and-so or whoever has been coming in there. You spoke about, some some utensils being taken or whatever.
Everybody know it's gone.
So-and-so has a catering business, and they just bring, the church got this, I pay my tithe, and da-da-da-da. And see, we talk about systems and models.
Right.
See, when you have a good model in place and a system that goes, it will cut all that other malarkey out. It will cleanse everything. When you have it where, okay, if you're going to be operating here, this is the need. This is what we need. You need to have insurance just in case something was to go wrong.
Right.
You need to make sure that how you found the space, you got to clean up after yourself. And you have to make sure that you check the boxes of the health department.
Yeah.
You know? Because certain places you can wash dishes and stuff, but some jurisdictions, their health department require you to sanitize certain things.
And water has to be a certain temperature.
Yep.
So to your point, we know what to do, but a key thing that's happened in the last X amount of years, this whole phenomenon on food trucks. Things are different, and now food trucks has to be tied back to a kitchen.
Yep.
So we already have this resources. We paying for it already. So this is a natural fit, other than Miss So-and-so is not in control anymore. And I ain't mad at Miss So-and-so. You've done a great job. But now things have changed. You got to turn those keys in. You got to go under the new program because it's not your kitchen. It's the church's kitchen.
Yeah.
It's the church's kitchen. And you have a tool that with food trucks and everything else coming out, now the church can get revenue to help offset the cost and have money to fix the roof, have money to make sure that the inspections in the kitchen go well, have money to clean out the grease pits, have money to make sure we pass inspection, and to the point of if we do it that way, is enough revenue to have someone to manage and clean behind the trucks.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And it's just a great sense of revenue, but more than revenue is economic development. If someone in the church wants to start a business, well, you don't want to go out there and put a lien on your house and borrow $100,000 and rent restaurant space. No. Do it here. Let's start small so that if we make mistakes, it's small mistakes.
Yeah.
It's $100 mistakes, not $10,000 mistakes. And I'm all into learning and growing, but let's grow at a small pace.
Yeah. I love what you're bringing up with this, Odell. So you may have some entrepreneurs in your community, right? We spoke about a lot of people being laid off and such.
Yes.
And, you have platforms like Uber Eats, DoorDash, all of these different online platforms where you can operate a ghost kitchen. Now, here's the thing, right? If I was to start a restaurant and say I bought space or I'm leasing a space, then I may have to get insurance for people to come and eat at my place just in case if someone gets hurt or whatnot. Then this thing called COVID-19 happened.
Yep.
And we had the shutdown. And everybody relied on the transportation of food, being DoorDash, Uber Eats, and things of that nature. Where we have kind of popping around in my city is we have these ghost kitchens of these old warehouses or whatever, these commercial kitchens, and they may have 20 to 30, 40, sometimes 50 restaurants there, and said person can go on their app on their phone. They can go and look at what they want. They can order it there, and they can pick it up, and there's like a little pickup area designated there. You don't talk or deal with nobody. They'll just put it in their locker. When it lets you know that, hey, this is done, you go and you pick your food up, you're good. And it helps out, too, with a lot of the Door Dashers and Uber Eats folks, too. When you go to some of these areas, some restaurants don't deliver on certain sides of towns, right? So it's very limited. Sometimes it's limited to just fast food. But if you know that, someone in your community is real good at cooking, they want to cook, it's nothing to get a couple of people together and set up a system for that. Now, again, we actually have a connection with a couple of ghost kitchen softwares. We'd be more than happy to reach out or give you the referral for that. But you have to make sure at the end of this video or during this video, you have to click and raise your hand as we spoke before, But let's talk about the ghost kitchen model versus the food truck model, and both a hybrid model incorporating both of them. Because a lot of times people just think, hey, you just set up everything and people will come. No. There's a lot that kind of goes into it. And Odell, you mentioned about the food trucks. You said something about food trucks require.
Yes, the laws have changed. I think it's a situation where COVID changed a lot of things.
It did.
So now all of a sudden, COVID says, I'm gonna sit home and order from this restaurant, and someone's gonna bring it to my door. However, the person who brings it, they get paid too. So it's another business model, and if we're stuck in a model that we've been patrolling the kitchen for X amount of years, then that model doesn't work. Now, if you could have other people in the kitchen coming in from a ghost kitchen perspective, that's revenue coming in, and the church can invest in that. One way or the other, I would suggest what I tell my clients, do a nonprofit 501c3 to separate them, the entity, from the church, kind of what I call a firewall. But also it works, and the fact that the board members on the nonprofit are church board members, so it comes back to the church. Now, how does it come back to the church, Odell? Well, the church do a lot of things in the community, feed people, pay their bills and all this. So if the church quit doing that and the nonprofit starts doing that, that's revenue that didn't come from the church out to the community.
Okay.
And then the nonprofit can tie to the church. So you want to do it legally. We talked earlier about in my hood, we always got attorneys when someone got in trouble. Now we are having attorneys at this level to build this model so no one ever gets in trouble. So I just think it's just a big deal. And I think with the young people, because all the pastor and leadership, all you have to do is just do a simple survey in your church. How many of you order Uber Eats? How many of you do this and how many of you do that? And it's right in front of you. It's hiding in plain sight.
And furthermore, it's the restaurants, right, that you get there. You know, one of the ghost kitchens we were talking to with the church, you know, they got like 6 different soul food restaurants, right? But everybody macaroni and cheese or fried chicken or whatever the case is.
Or yams. Don't hate on yams now.
Yeah, totally different. Yams with sweet potato casserole with walnuts and marshmallows, or some just regularly cut and just done a certain way. However, what this was able to do was to empower the community to work together and support the community. Now we're talking about group economics in a particular area. You know, when you start looking at produce and all this other good stuff, or just healthy food in general, a lot of these places are in food deserts. But if you can have a facility where people can come in and set up shop, do this, and they can order things, now you're helping bring the revenue there. Now, I will say this. When we talk about the ghost kitchen model, people will have to drive and be on the property for that. And we can talk about what that looks like and how you can kind of cut down on any riffraff or anything of that nature. Because you have some young folks, not saying all young people like this, but you have some folks that will come on the property and they'll wait and do a little thing, play a little music here and there. And we want to make sure when we roll the system out with you that we have it down packed where you don't have to worry about that, right? So we can dive in deep on how to cut down on that. We could also dive in deep on how you guys can market the restaurants there, right? And then you might have it where, Tina's restaurant does Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Bobby might do Wednesdays and Fridays, but you might have 5 Tinas and 4 Bobbies at one time. People may be able to share the space and not use all of the space at one time. It can be cut up in different areas. You might have someone that may be able to use this deep fryer over here, but you might be able to set up other little deep fryers and little areas like that, little grills or whatever the case is. The biggest thing is we have to think outside the box and get control of it, and we're going to talk about the systems. Now, we talked about the ghost kitchen, people coming up in there. A big factor is these food trucks. During COVID, everybody and their mom was getting into the food truck industry. I know where we are in our municipalities, you have to be tied to a single commercial kitchen. And what that looks like is this. I've known a church that had part of their parking lot where they actually installed a gate and they have food trucks store there, right? So they pay them a weekly fee to sit and park there and lock up to be secured. Then they also pay them when they go to use the kitchen. Some of them have a monthly or weekly subscription. Some of them pay them every time that they use it. But when you're talking about utilizing, you're talking about, the gray water, the waste. It's illegal for someone to have a food truck or like a commercial type vehicle and dispose of their stuff in anywhere. You have to be able to dispose of it in a commercial kitchen. That means from, gray water is washing your hands, any water used on any kind of food or whatever the case is, or any type of waste in general. You can also set up hubs where different companies can come get your grease from you and dispose of that, right? So we talking about revenue from food trucks. We're talking about revenue from the food trucks actually parking and being there. We might even have it, where if you wanted to operate in your parking lot during lunchtime, you might have 4 or 5 food trucks there, put some picnic tables out and have people come out to the place and then charge a percentage from your food trucks from being there, right? So there's a lot of different ways from that. I know, Odell, you spoke about it before in the past, whenever you guys have a food truck, and food trucks sometimes will make a donation to you guys or work with y'all.
Well, we call it donation, but it's required.
Okay.
So it's a situation. This is a business transaction.
Yeah, it is.
So if you look at Sunday after church, you have everyone's going to where? A restaurant somewhere. Well, instead of that, come to the fellowship hall and we have X amount of food trucks here or there. And yes, you pay the church X amount of percentage of your sales or a flat rate, however you want to do it, to have access, and it gives convenience to the individuals who are going, instead of going to X amount of restaurants, spending money, this money is coming right back into, because the money's going to be spent. See, the good thing about it is we're not saying that you're going to do something different. You're going to the restaurant anyway. When you get out of church, you know you're going to a restaurant, or you're going to pick up something from this restaurant to go. So just do it there. We can put the orders in ahead of time. Things have changed. Let's change with the times. And more importantly, what I like about it is the stability. Because a lot of cases, you can cut corners and play hide and seek with the rules and regulations. But when you get caught, the fines are going to put you out of business. So it's almost like, if you want to be sustainable, if you want to make sure that your food is a certain temperature so nobody doesn't get food poisoning, all the things necessary for you to be sustainable, allow us to put you in a system that it could work for you for long term, because nobody wants the frustration of, yes, you have a vision. Yes, I'm doing this. And now you get hit in the head because the rules and the regulations, and you talk about, well, the people downtown don't like me. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's food and safety. So if you're going to operate with the public, there's certain rules you go by. And we could put you in a situation so that your cost to participate, your admission to entry is so low with the food kitchen. And it's almost like when you go to the mall, what's the name of, I'm old, I don't do it, but when you go to the mall, that top floor where you got all these different food vendors, what's that called?
Food court.
The food court.
Yep.
Why can't the food court model be used in the church? So it doesn't have to be this soul food restaurant or that soul food restaurant. Why can't it be 2 or 3 restaurants or individuals in the food kitchen? They come in from after church. You got somebody serving this, someone serving that, someone serving that, because you could prepare the food in the kitchen. And a lot of times in those food courts, it's the warming trays and everything else. So it's a different way of thinking. It's a paradigm shift. We have to look at paradigm shifts, because things have changed now. We're not in the horse and buggy anymore. You can get on a horse, you can get the buggy, or you can use AI.
I'm gonna use AI every day. And on top of it, there's a bigger church that have adopted this model, but the church came up with their own restaurant inside of it. And they said, hey, we're going to use all the elders that cook. We're going to bring them all in. We're going to cook, and we're going to serve, breakfast, lunch, and dinner during the week. And they were very successful with that. They empowered their community, for one, right? They employed them. And then they're also able to pay them and make revenue from that. So this model has always existed.
Yes.
We're just saying COVID made a real big difference. Let's make a virtual food court.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, let's host some of these food trucks and be able to use that. Going back to what we were saying earlier about this hybrid model of ghost kitchen, food trucks. You can have the ghost kitchen set up where people can come there and they can prepare everything and then serve and things of that nature, or do Uber Eats that way, or you can have food trucks that are there and set up. There's a place, we used to go to Austin, Texas all the time, and off of Rainey Street in Austin, Texas, there used to be this little lot that they had all this little rocks on, right? Lot had to be about a quarter of an acre or something small of that, 0.2 acres, something like that. But they would have power there, and the owner would rent out to different food trucks per day.
Right.
And there would be 8 trucks there, picnic tables there. People would just walk up and order food, sit down at picnic tables, eat. People would do Uber Eats, order food. They would come pick up the food from it, but it made sure that the food trucks had a place to go. See, when you think about that, right, and you can charge them a set rate plus a gross of sales, there's so many different things of this, and we want to make sure that you're utilizing that. Now, we're going to talk about the revenue burner, the RPB, what that is, over, how to break down and see how we can make it profitable if you want to do the ghost kitchen, right? This model looks like total monthly rental income, right, over number of active cooking stations. So the more cooking stations that you have and the more restaurants that you have there, the more revenue you can make. Now, you can do a model of where you can just get a percentage of gross sales and a monthly fee. It might be a technology fee if you have to do the ghost kitchen setup, and we have some partners that we can connect you with on that. Or it can just be, hey, pay us this, per month. Same thing for the food trucks. If you have, say you have 12 food trucks, right, that have to connect with you, and they might have to book time to clean up their stuff, you can charge them for booking the thing, or you might say, you might get 16 hours a month to be able to clear for this package. Yeah. Then they have to store their stuff as well, right? And you have to be able to allow them to store. And that might be setting up a gate around something to lock it up, just so their stuff can feel very secure, However, there's a lot of churches that have parking lots
all day long,
that have empty parking lots during the week,
all day,
that have empty kitchens during the week,
all day,
that have people in a community that eat food.
Always. So
with that being said, you guys, it just makes sense. And, for the Sister Johnsons of the world, if people have a catering business inside the church, I know some pastors might say, hey, I don't want to kick them out. They've been using the kitchen, da-da-da. Well, then there's other technology and platforms out there that we can be able to supply you with, where you can charge them for 2, 3, 1, 5-hour windows for them to be able to operate with that. Now, here's the kicker. With the right things, you don't have to always keep it 9 to 5. You might have a restaurant that might need to come and prep stuff, or catering that might see to prep stuff, something around, late at night, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And those might be cheaper or more reliable, but now we have a kitchen you can utilize 24 hours a day. Imagine if you had a Waffle House inside your church where people can order and just take the negative stigma away from Waffle House with all the stuff. But if you have a Waffle House where people can order 24 hours a day, no matter what, it's generating income, it just helps out everything to the fullest.
Well, maybe instead of Waffle House, Holy Pancake House.
There we go.
But you just said something, though. The whole idea of Sister So-and-so, because a lot of times pastors usually don't want to be confrontational. Mm-hmm. But members could be very confrontational.
Yes.
So what you're saying is, people say to me, because I'm blessed to deal with so many different churches at different levels. Some churches, you have millionaires in the church, and others you have homeless people in the church, and there's a combination of all of that, which is fine. Mm-hmm. And people say, Pastor Odell, how do I build a church, or what do I do to attract rich people to join my church? Because rich people joining your church, you're associating that with 10%. So 10% of a person making $1 million is one thing. 10% of a person making $30,000 a year is another thing. So what I say is grow your own. Grow your own, meaning that if I am a budding entrepreneur and I come to your church and I'm using your ghost kitchen and you're teaching me and showing me and mentoring me on how to grow my business, chances are I will become a member, or if I'm not already a member, as God bless my business, I'm going to bless the house of God. So it's a way of growing your stability as a pastor or as a church, as members, because a lot of times churches are losing members, not because the preaching is not the best in the world, but a lot of times the family is not strong enough anymore just to say this is my family church, because you left that area, went to school, got an education, nothing wrong with that, got married, now you have your kids, and the church doesn't have anything for the children.
You're right.
It doesn't have anything for the children. So you deal with the pressure of grandma and mama saying that's our family church, but the reality is I'm not growing. So if the family church starts growing and doing things differently, when I say growing, I don't mean just a building. I mean one's mentality. Just look at it. How do we engage the young people, the young couples? Because without the young couples, believe it or not, your church would die. You mentioned earlier, you said, well, the baby boomers like you, Odell, are transitioning. Well, do you mean transitioning financially or transitioning physically? And the answer is both.
Yeah, they are.
So how can we build legacy in the church without getting engaged and asking the people, how do we change certain things? Because just because your mama was the deacon and your grandmama was the trustee board, you in the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are just in the way.
Yeah.
And we can say in a very nice way that you in the way, let's move, you could be a part of the solution or be the problem. And the key is we have to understand people's intent. Do you understand that you holding the keys to the kitchen is really preventing the church from looking at this as a revenue stream for the whole church and not just a revenue stream for you?
I think part of that is, because we get asked this a lot, I think part of it is having a third party come in and take over the kitchen. So it's not, Pastor, you did this. No. Them guys from Developed by Faith, they're running that. Yeah. You know, they're help putting the resources and stuff together, you know. And I actually, I don't say I pride myself in being the third party person, you know. But when things are preventing you to grow, you have to do something about it. You have to do something about it. You can't allow that to continue, you know, to stop the church. I mean, look, we said earlier, if the church made say $6,000 a month off of this model.
Yes.
Right?
Right. Which is doable. Easy. Cleared. Profit. Not gross revenue. Net. You know.
Net.
Yes.
How many bills did that pay?
And not just bills. It pays a lot of bills, but it takes the tension away. I've had pastors tell me, Odell, you're the bad cop. And I that doesn't bother me at all. So what he or she is saying is, you're coming in, saying and doing things that I want to do and I want to say. However, if I do that, then I have half the church mad at me, then the other church is mad. So we're, instead of the bad cop, let's just say Odell is the transparent person who could come in and say, hey, let's look at this. Why are we doing this and why are we doing that? Not questioning someone like they're on the witness stand, but questioning for a better understanding, because sometimes, like all of us, the church get caught in a rut, get caught in bad habits, get caught in certain things, and certain people start feeling entitled, and none of us are entitled to God's house.
I love that. You guys, this is actually providing folks in the community the opportunity to become entrepreneurs and to feed the community. You're actually helping with economic mobility with this model. If you get anything from this, have a conversation with us. You have to. If you think you can just call a food truck over and get them to park and stuff on there on your property, if you don't have the right hazardous materials riders on your insurance, you're one grease fire away from losing your building. Let's go the right way. Download our kitchen checklist. You got to download it, right? It's right here, the link below. And let's see if your gas lines are ready for revenue. Odell, any final words?
Yeah, just when it comes to this, refrain from trying to get the hookup, and let's do it right and get the holy hookup.
There you have it. Guys, thank you for another wonderful episode of Developed by Faith. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let all your friends and them know. Comment below. Share this with your family. Share this with your youth pastor and or your senior pastor, or just share it in general. Even if you guys, no matter what denomination you're in, if you don't even believe, if you're atheist, you can still find value with the knowledge that we're giving on any type of real estate. Please like, share, comment, let us know, reach out to us, reach out below, set up a call for free, and let's see how we can get you guys revenue rolling in.
Thank you.